Early primary results show the 2024 presidential election frontrunners will almost certainly be the same as 2020, and that means President Joe Biden facing off against Trump. In his latest statements, Trump reiterated he's a big fan of tariffs.
The whole topic of tariffs to me is so simple. Number one, it's great economically for us, and it brings our companies back.
Trump's last presidency saw several Canada-U.S. tensions over tariffs. Canada is working to preemptively ease those tensions with its Team Canada engagement strategy. François-Philippe Champagne is the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, and he's one of the ministers overseeing the Team Canada approach, and he joins me now from Washington. Minister, welcome back to the show.
Great pleasure to be with you, David.
So you're in D.C. at the end of a 10-day trip in the U.S. on trade talks across multiple states. Are the people you're speaking with as worried about this economic relationship as the Canadian government is on the eve of a possible Donald Trump re-election?
Well, I said it's been quite of a journey. You know, we started in Windsor, we went to Detroit, Cleveland, Atlanta. I was in Calgary in between, and then in Washington. One thing I can say, David, is that there's a lot of interest. I mean, I met governor, I met business leader, I met academics, experts in the field, and you know, one thing that I'm doing for them is connecting the dots, you know, making sure people understand that this is not just we're not just like the nice people in the North. We are strategic in terms of the economic security and the resilience of supply chain in North America. And like I keep saying, economic security is national security. So when you talk in these terms, whether you're talking to Democrats or Republicans, I can tell you that this is the type of language that they understand, and they certainly, you know, my feeling is that you need always to repeat. You know, it's sometimes you bring things to the floor. The economic integration, talking about Michigan, Ohio. I was with the governor of South Carolina. I said, listen, it's great that you have these plans, but you know they take the critical minerals from Canada. So making the links for them and building kind of this group of people who say, wow, Canada is really crucial for the economic security and prosperity of North America.
So you're connecting the dots for them. I wonder what are they prepared to do for you? Because if President Trump should win, he's already promised a 10% across-the-board tariff hike on imports. So what are the people you're meeting with prepared to do to help this Team Canada approach?
Well, they understand that we are key for the economic security. For example, I was with UPS in Atlanta. They said, you know, they ship more to Canada than we ship to the United States. I was with, for example, in Michigan, saying that Canada is the largest trading partner of Michigan, but it's more than the 13 other partners for which Michigan is trading. So when you talk about jobs, when you talk about resiliency, when you talk about the integration of supply chain, I must say that naturally, when people realize that, I was with the governor of Georgia, and we're talking about, you know, an assembly plan he got, but I said, Governor, just so you're aware, that plan depends on critical minerals which are processed in Canada. I was talking about titanium, which is coming from Quebec that goes into the defense sector. I was talking about biomanufacturing. I was talking about nuclear energy and energy security. So I can tell you, David, I am even very optimistic about the reception we get, because once you make the case for Canada, you know, I always say, not everyone here wakes up in the morning thinking about Canada. But when you make the case why Canada is strategic to the prosperity of North America and the United States, and that millions of jobs depend on that, you really get an audience, and you get people engaged very quickly, because I can tell you, even 2 governors said, Minister, we're coming to see you. So that's positive, because we need to build at the state level. Mayor, I was with the mayor of Cleveland, mayor of Detroit. We were talking about how it is key for them as well to be engaged in that discussion. I am very optimistic from what I'm hearing here in the United States.
You mentioned that economic security is national security, but national security also helps economic security. And we've heard from former President Trump his distaste with NATO, and the Hungarian leader Viktor Orban walked out of a meeting with Donald Trump in Florida yesterday, I believe it was, and says that Trump is going to end the war in Ukraine by not giving any more money to Ukraine. I know this is of great concern to your government. Are you hearing any of that from the people you're speaking with in the United States?
I must say, you know, I don't want to say it's not a concern, but it's not something that I've heard in my discussion. What I was trying to make the point to Americans, I'll give you, for example, on the defense side, the largest refining of titanium now, it happens to be in Canada. And with that, it allows to help the defense industry. That titanium used to come from Russia. So I was saying, we are an integral part to your resiliency and national security. And there's so many examples like that I could give. Every time I meet a governor or a business leader, what we're really doing is really connecting these dots and say, hey, about this or that, which really makes the case for Canada. And I say, once you've done that, people are naturally inclined to say, wow, I did not know that, but now that I know that, I certainly want to engage. And yesterday I was with a group of senators, which we hosted, and it was the same thing. They understand that, semiconductors, critical mineral, energy security, biomanufacturing. Canada is not only the closest allies, but we're aligned on our policies. We make sure that we protect the integrity of our supply chain in North America. And when you talk in these terms here in Washington, David, you get an audience. Everyone that we've asked to meet has agreed to meet with us. I was with the Business Roundtable representing the top 200 CEOs, I think, in this country, very engaged with us. I spoke at the SAFE Summit talking about resiliency of supply chain. And, I said, Canada is not only your best friend, we are a strategic partner in the economic security of North America.
I know this Team Canada approach was reinvigorated because of the U.S. election and because of the Trump candidacy in particular. But we've seen some comments this month from Catherine Tai, the U.S. trade czar in the Biden administration, who warned Canada, don't get too comfortable that the North American trade agreement is going to stay the way that it is. Have you spoken to Catherine Tai about this? What concerns do you have about what the Biden administration might want to do with Canada-U.S. trade should they win a second term?
Well, one thing that we've been talking to business leader, I did not talk to her directly, but it's clear that it's an agreement that it's working. We have seen the record level of investment. I would even say that our economy are more integrated now than ever between the time that we've been trading over a century. So when you talk to business people, when you talk to governors who understand that the jobs in their states largely depend, I talk about South Carolina, we're the largest export market to South Carolina. Same thing when I was in Georgia. And I can tell you, David, sometimes it's not something that is obvious. You talk to officials and I don't think that would be their first answer. But when you lay it out for them and you say, you know what, we are interconnected. If you want to succeed, we have to work closer together. That relationship is maintaining jobs across both sides, millions in the US, millions in Canada. I think that you're building alliances. That's why I'm saying you're spreading the word, you're connecting the dots for everyone and making sure that they understand that it's in both sides' best interest to keep this unique relationship. There's no other two nations. Listen, we're trading 2.6 billion per day, 400,000 people across the border. This is more than unique. There's no other relationship like that in the world. But I must tell you, this is a message you need to repeat, and repeat, because it's a big country. A lot of people come here in Washington, and you just need to keep going. And we're doing that with premier business leaders, academics. This is Team Canada playing at its best.
Okay, but in the Trump first term, just as a final point, Minister, with the threat to tear up NAFTA, I would say this level of concern in your government on a scale of 1 to 10 was about a 40 because of the way the country had to respond and reoriented the whole government to deal with that. With the electoral dynamic in the U.S. right now and with the conversations you've been having on this trip and others, what's your level of anxiety right now about the state, the potential state of future Canada-U.S. trade?
Well, one thing that gives me confidence, David, is we have been smart in a way to integrate ourselves strategically in key supply chain. Think about semiconductor. 80% of the semiconductor manufactured in the United States are packaged and tested in Canada. The battery supply chain we have built in Canada, which is the first in the world, ahead of China, is supporting manufacturing in the United States. Biomanufacturing is the same thing. Nuclear, when we're talking about energy. So I would just say that now, more than ever, because we're integrated strategically, I think it's giving us an advantage, because when you talk about that, they understand now, and governors and people I'm talking, they said, wow, that relationship is not just a nice to have, but is essential. It's the indispensable relationship we need in order to have that prosperity at the time where you see new technologies, a revival industrialization in North America. The interdependency has increased, which I think that any administration would understand. And this is not a partisan issue. When you talk about jobs, growth, and national security, you get an audience on both sides. And that's why I'm confident that with the work we're doing with Team Canada, this is going to pay dividends for not just now, but for years to come, for sure.
Minister François-Philippe Champagne, thanks for your time today. Safe travels.
Thank you, sir. See you soon.